Hello and welcome to another episode of the Kid Stories Podcast. I'm Phil Bechtel. Let's get into a shout-out. Bane and Naya are big fans of the show. Bane shared this awesome drawing of Dropkick Kitty Cat. It was super cool. Great stuff, Bane. I think if you two were characters in the stories, you'd be dream walkers. And you could enter people's dreams and take things from their dreams and make them real. And you'd get valuable and powerful artifacts and potions and even creatures from people's dreams to help you in your adventures. Thanks for listening, Bane and Naya. Today's episode is the third in the new Magic Fix series. This is Embers Flame, Part 3. The universal tracking compass had led them to the bustling town of Millhaven, one day's hard ride east of the Dragon Highlands. As they approached the town walls, Nora could see why stolen dragon eggs might end up here. Millhaven was famous throughout the region for its anything-goes marketplace, where questions weren't asked and gold talked louder than laws. "The compass is pointing toward the market district," Finn observed, consulting the brass instrument as they guided their tired horses through the crowded streets. "But the compass is going to sense any kind of dragon magic, I think. Dragon scale armor, dragon claw charms, any potions with dragon's blood." "Yeah, I figured that," said Pip. "But it's a start." As they got closer to the marketplace itself, the compass became less helpful, just like they thought it would. The needle wavered between different directions, confused by the massive concentration of magical items all gathered in one place. "Too much interference again," Nora muttered. "We'll have to do this the hard way." The Millhaven marketplace was a maze of colorful stalls, temporary booths, and permanent shops that seemed to sell everything imaginable. Merchants hawked their wares in a dozen different languages, and the air was thick with the scents of exotic spices, alchemical ingredients, and magical energies. "So how do we find dragon's egg dealers and all this?" Pip asked, looking overwhelmed by the sheer size of the market. "We act like customers," Nora said, pulling her tool belt into a more prominent position. "We're from Magic Fix, remember? We have a legitimate reason to be interested in rare magical components." Finn nodded, understanding the plan. "Yeah, we ask around about amplification powders and rare ingredients, see who mentions dragon egg shells." They spent the next hour wandering through the market, stopping at various stalls that specialized in magical ingredients. Most of the merchants were helpful but ordinary, selling common herbs, crystals, and potions that any legitimate magic shop might stock. But as they worked their way deeper into the market, into the sections where the stalls were less permanent and the merchants were shifty-eyed, they began to hear whispered conversations about special orders and rare acquisitions. "Looking for something specific?" asked a thin man in a dark cloak who had been watching them browse his collection of suspicious-looking bottles. "Amplification agents," Nora said casually, "for our repair shop. We've heard that powdered dragon shell is the most effective, but—" The merchant's eyes lit up. "Ah, dragon shell powder, very difficult to acquire. Very expensive, but very, very effective." He leaned closer. "I might know someone who deals in such exclusive materials." "Really?" Pip asked, trying to sound excited rather than nervous. "For a small finder's fee, of course," the merchant continued. "Say 5 copper pieces, and I could introduce you to someone who might have what you need." Finn counted out the coins from their dwindling supply. "Deal." The merchant pocketed the copper and gestured toward a narrow alley between 2 larger buildings. "Find the stall with the red and gold banner. Ask for Matthias. Tell him Corvus sent you, and that you're interested in premium amplification materials." Following his directions, they made their way through increasingly narrow and crowded passages until they found the stall he had described. The red and gold banner hung over a booth that looked more permanent than most, with sturdy wooden walls and a locked chest visible behind the counter. The man behind the counter was middle-aged with graying hair and sharp eyes that seemed to catalog everything around them in an instant. This had to be Matthias. "Help you?" he asked in a tone that suggested he wasn't actually interested in helping anyone. "Corvus sent us," Nora said. "We're interested in premium amplification materials." Matthias's expression changed slightly, becoming more calculating. "Corvus, eh? And what exactly are you looking to amplify?" "Magical repairs," Finn explained. "We run a shop called Magic Fix in Wolfwater. We need the strongest amplification agent we can get for some difficult restoration work." "Magic Fix," Matthias repeated thoughtfully. "I've heard of you. You're the kids who got mixed up in that bandit stuff in Shadowmere, yeah?" Nora felt a chill. Their reputation was apparently spreading, which could be good or bad depending on Matthias's connections. "That's us," she said carefully. Matthias said, and now he seemed genuinely interested. He glanced around to make sure no one was listening, then leaned forward. "I might have access to some powdered dragon shell. Highest quality. But it's not cheap and it's not officially available, if you understand my meaning." "How much are we talking about?" Pip asked. "For a small quantity, 50 gold pieces." The three kids exchanged glances. They did not have anywhere near that much money. "That's more than we expected," Finn admitted. Matthias shrugged. "Supply and demand. Dragon shells are extremely difficult to acquire. The dragons don't exactly cooperate with harvesting operations." "Where do you get them?" Nora asked, trying to sound casual. Matthias's eyes narrowed slightly. "That's not really your concern, is it? You want the product, I can provide the product. The source is my business." "Of course," Nora said quickly. "We're just curious about quality control, making sure we're getting genuine dragon shell and not some inferior substitute. 50 gold is no small amount." "Everything I sell is guaranteed authentic," Matthias replied. "I have very reliable suppliers who specialize in hard-to-find materials." Pip leaned forward eagerly. "What other dragon-related products do you have access to? We might be interested in expanding our inventory." Matthias studied her for a moment, then seemed to come to a decision. "Well, since you're professionals, I occasionally have access to more than just shells." "Like what?" Finn asked. "Let's just say that sometimes my suppliers acquire entire specimens. Unhatched specimens, if you catch my meaning." Nora's heart raced. He was talking about stolen dragon eggs. "That sounds expensive," she managed to say. "Very expensive," Matthias confirmed, "but also very valuable. The shells alone are worth their weight in gold once the dragons hatch, and if you know what you're doing, the dragons themselves can be quite useful." "Useful how?" Pip asked, though she already knew the answer. "Dragon loyalty is absolute," Matthias explained. "If you're the first being a dragon sees when it hatches, it'll serve you faithfully for life. Imagine having a dragon as a business partner. The possibilities are endless." "Yeah, but where would someone even keep unhatched dragon eggs?" Finn asked. "They must require special storage conditions." Matthias nodded approvingly. "Very good question. Shows you're thinking like professionals. Dragon eggs need to be kept at precisely the right temperature and magical environment. But my suppliers have invested in some very sophisticated storage facilities." "Here in town?" Nora asked. "Close enough," Matthias replied. "In fact," he paused, studying their faces carefully, "you know, I like you three. You remind me of myself when I was starting out, ambitious, practical, willing to take risks for profit. How would you feel about a partnership opportunity?" "What kind of partnership?" Pip asked nervously. "My suppliers are always looking for new distributors. Young people with legitimate businesses who can move products without attracting attention. Now, you'd get a significant discount on anything you purchase, plus a commission on anything you help sell. I bet no one would suspect kids of selling illegal substances. Nora realized this was exactly the opportunity they needed. Well, that sounds interesting. What would it involve? Oh, nothing too complicated, Matthias said. You'd simply need to meet with my suppliers, inspect their current inventory, and discuss distribution arrangements. Think of it as a business meeting. If it works out, you could be selling all kinds of stuff secretly from that cute little shop in Wolfwater. It could make you a fortune. Well, where would this meeting take place? Finn asked. Matthias smiled. At their storage facility, of course. That way you can see the quality of their operation, examine the merchandise firsthand. Very professional setup, I assure you. When? Nora asked. Tomorrow evening would work. They prefer to conduct business after dark, you understand. I could arrange for you to be escorted to the facility. Pip looked uncertain. Well, we'd need to know more details before committing to anything. Of course, Matthias said smoothly. All I'm asking is that you meet with them. No commitment beyond that. If you're not interested after seeing their operation, you walk away. No hard feelings. Nora exchanged glances with Pip and Finn. This was obviously the break they needed, a chance to find the stolen dragon eggs and see where they were being stored, but it was also clearly dangerous. We'll need to discuss it. Naturally, Matthias replied. Take your time, but don't take too long. Opportunities like this don't come around often. If you decide you're interested, come back here tomorrow at sunset. As they walked away from Matthias's stall, none of them spoke until they were well out of earshot. He's definitely connected to the egg thieves, Pip whispered. Did you hear how he talked about dragon loyalty? Finn added. He knows exactly what those eggs are for. Nora nodded. And now we know they have a storage facility somewhere nearby. The question is, do we risk going to this business meeting tomorrow? It's obviously a trap, Pip pointed out, or at least dangerous. But it might be our only chance to find out where the eggs are being kept, Finn countered. And we're running out of time. Embers counting on us. They found a small inn where they could spend the night and plan their next move. As they sat in their rented room, the weight of their situation pressed down on them. Somewhere in the Dragon Highlands, Ember was waiting, sick and weak, in the care of dragons who would only help them if they succeeded. And somewhere nearby, probably closer than they wanted to think about, was a storage facility full of stolen dragon eggs, and criminals of the worst kind. So what do we do? Pip asked, as the sun began to set outside their window. Nora considered what Matthias had said. We go to the meeting, but we go prepared for trouble. What kind of trouble? Finn asked. The kind where we might need to signal for help very quickly, Nora replied, already formulating a plan. Pip, how much chaos powder do you have left? Enough for one really big distraction? Pip said slowly, understanding where this was going. Good, Nora said. Because tomorrow night we're not just going to a business meeting. We're going to find those dragon eggs, figure out how to get them back to their families, and get Ember the help he needs. And if something goes wrong? Pip asked. Nora looked out the window toward the distant mountains, where the Dragon Highlands rose against the darkening sky. Then we'd better hope we're as clever as everyone seems to think we are. Tomorrow would bring answers, and almost certainly danger. But tonight they had plans to make. The end. Thanks for listening, friends. The website is kidstoriespodcast.com. Send all your drawings and things to kidstoriespodcast@gmail.com. Adios.